What is up, gamers? Welcome back to another Predecessor gameplay video. But for you guys today, I have something again that resonates with the last educational video that I have, and that is showcasing some early game Predecessor. Most importantly, in the mid lane this time, we did off lane and we did jungle. Last time, you guys really liked them. So this time, I have two different games in the early game, and I'm going to basically try to help you guys understand what works and what doesn't. So first game, Morigesh is against me. I'm an Iggy. What you see me do here is just trying to nade her on cooldown just to try to get that HP advantage. I don't mind CSing under tower. I know how easy it is to CS under tower. If you guys don't know, it's pretty easy. Ranged minions take 1 tower hit and 2 auto attacks at the early levels. So you wanna auto attack 1 time before the tower hits them, and then you can auto attack 1 more time. And melee minions take 3 tower hits and 1 auto attack, so you don't need to auto attack in beforehand. So it's very easy to CS under tower if you understand why. Here I just kind of took a trade in because I knew that I would win it alongside my turrets. So I kind of just abused the Morigesh lower HP than me, but she hits me with a nice long range Q here. But it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna get level 3 ahead of her. Now you see the Rampage on the left hand side of the map. He basically hit dual lane, so I know that Rampage could potentially hit me from the left here, from my left. So I'm hugging the right side of the lane because that is going to give me more time if the Rampage does come try to play for me. And I know that my Terra is also trying to play for mid, so I'm trying to burst together with the dash from the Terra alongside my RMB, and we managed to kill her. And I think we also got her flash, so we kind of utilize pretty well there our burst, make sure that we kill her in a matter of seconds before she is able to react. Of course, she could have just blinked earlier as soon as she saw the Terra bubble, but she didn't, so a bit of a misplay on her, but we still managed to get an early kill, which is going to lead us pretty nicely towards the early game and getting some other things. I pinged the Terra to get the left river because the Rampage was going to play for the left river. I'm too low, I had no mana, so instead of running for the left river with the Terra, we rather just split the rivers. The Terra gets the left one and I get the right one. Of course, the Terra kept fighting the Rampage, and with the mana I got from from the river, I could also play for that kill on the Rampage. Now you see me pretty low. I wanted to base, but a wave is coming in. Not really worth to base when you have a massive wave coming in, so at least try to clear it. And now you can base because it's a cannon wave. What does that mean? A cannon wave means that the cannon is going to be tanking a lot more tower shots than any other minions that I mentioned earlier. As I mentioned again, basically ranged minions take 2 hits, 2 tower hits, 1 and 2 auto attacks, or 2 hits. The melee minions take 4 hits or 3 hits and 1 auto attack. Meanwhile, the cannon just takes about 6 or 7. As you can see, it tanks enough tower shots for me to come back from lane and basically have more time to catch the entire wave. I believe I only missed 1 melee minion from that entire wave. So catching that wave and then resetting on the cannon wave allowed me to miss the least amount of possible in terms of XP and gold, and that is important. Sometimes people don't notice that, but sometimes that is important. Now, I'm not really gonna go over these builds if I'm being honest, but I will mention them just a little bit. I might do a separate video on builds, but the point of these videos is not about the build, it's about understanding the early game and how it works, right? This matchup is a winning matchup for Iggy because you can play waves, you can also outpoke her, so you have multiple ways to win the matchup. So this is going to be showcasing a winning matchup, and you can see right here, it's basically a free matchup. I understand correctly when to go in, and I also understand my limits. I'm also ahead, so that's why I kind of fought her. Here I'm going to have to use the flash, right? I used the flash last second when I know he's going to throw the stun. I don't want to waste the flash, but of course if he hits me with the stun, I'm most probably dead. We cleared the wave as fast as possible. The other option here for me was to just leave the wave right here and just do nothing, but because I also want to try to get this right river, which is unfortunately gone. I believe the Rampage or the Gideon took it. It didn't really happen, but most importantly, I wanted to base on the exact timing of a stacking item. So there's 2 stacking items in the game. That's Orb, which cost I don't know, like 3k maybe, but like 3.1k. Anyway, like you saw me base at the correct amount of gold, so I wanted to base, so I start stacking it. It stacks through XP. The other item that you can get, which is stacking, is a Azure Core, and that item is the component. It's about 1k and 550. Here I'm just trying to trade him because I want him to not be able to play the game. Does mean I use my ultimate, but because I'm really far ahead, I just want him to constantly miss waves and just not allow him to play the game. And that's exactly what I want, right? Just do a quick little trade, make sure he doesn't get to play the game. And here, if I hit my RMB, he actually dies. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. He should also just have base, so he shouldn't have really ever gotten greedy there, if I'm being honest. But overall not important. The main reason me using the ultimate there, not probably the best idea, right? But I just wanted to make sure that he doesn't get this wave. And as you can see, as showcased in the last video on offlane, I am denying a complete wave, another wave coming in, 2 waves in total. One of them is a cannon wave. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, the cannon is going to hold quite some auto attacks, so he's actually going to catch up majority of that wave because it's a cannon. But he's still gonna probably miss the cannon because he did run all the way to tier 2, so it took a long time. Here you see me using the E as a spell to see if the E does damage to the river. It did not do it, so I knew that the river was down. I jumped anyway to try to help dual lane. On Iggy, roaming doesn't really make too much sense. You kind of just want to play lane, you kind of just want to AFK true lane and just win true lane. Doesn't need to be just by killing people, if I'm being completely honest. It can also just be through CSing and through just out-shoving your enemy mid laner and making sure that their tower is taking significant damage in the early stages, because your clear is insane, your wave clear is insane. The ticks on both the RMB and the E, and just the burning passive, that CS's minions easily for you as well. So that is why Iggy is really strong in the early game. And as you can see, the Terra also managed to kill the Morigesh because she's very far behind. And I'm pinging that I'm on my way, because I definitely want to catch up on the wave. I don't want the Terra to just push my wave and just leave me with nothing. Because if that happens, and if my wave is pushed like this, I kind of have nothing to do. So the only other option I have is that the Terra starts Raptor at this point instead of going for her 4, because I kind of have nothing to do at this point. But this is something that you cannot control, because this is something that your teammates will do, right? So you have to try to find other value. The other value I'm going to find is I'm going to try to burn this tower down with all 3 turrets, and also try to hit this guy when he tries to clear the wave. But most importantly, we're focused on getting the mid lane turret, right? And once the mid lane turret is down, you can basically I feel like if the mid turret is down, the lane can be completely unplayable for certain mid laners that are not safe. So like Morigesh, it's going to be pretty hard for her to play once the mid turret is down, because that's a lot of safety just gone. It's also the most important turret in the whole map because it is very central, and a lot of plays towards objectives are played through mid lane. So without that mid lane turret that you can call a safety net for you guys, so they cannot dive you too deep and they would start taking some damage if they try to get a pick before an objective. With that gone, it's going to be a little rough to try to play for these objectives. So I'm doing my best here to try to make sure that I get this tower. Of course, I know that I can possibly get hit. That's why I am just trying to make my best to get the tower and just not be out of position, because I don't know where the jungler is, right? And that's one of the biggest thing that you guys have issues with, is where's the jungle? I don't know. And many times through this video, you've seen me ward the rivers. Sometimes I also do like to also ward deep into the jungle on camps, so it kind of reads where the jungler is. But sometimes you just have to understand that you just don't know where the jungler is, and it's not always on you to track the jungler. Sometimes it's somebody else's job to track the jungler, and it's not yours. Of course, I can do this because I'm really massive, I'm really big, and I can just play aggressive. Plus, I'm trying to get a response from the enemy team. Burn ultimates like this one. Sorry, I hit my desk. Burn ultimates like this one, such as the Rampage. That's a Rampage ult. Rampage ult is very valuable in the early game because that usually does help you secure objectives. So with a Rampage ultimate gone, this will lead us to a free mini prime, which is something that I definitely want to do soon, because Iggy is also really good at taking objectives early on with his turrets. So if you play Iggy in mid lane, try to play for objectives. and also try to make sure that your laner doesn't roam by always keeping the shadow shoved in. But because this was a winning matchup, I also decided to trade into this guy, right? I don't usually just trade for fun. It doesn't make sense that you're trading in a losing matchup. Of course, sometimes you have to trade because you're being put in a position to trade. But realistically, for new players watching this Iggy game, what I would tell you is just keep him shoved in. Make sure if he is without flash, try to freeze your wave towards your tower by not placing your turrets and just last hitting. So he has to step up, and maybe your jungler is inclined to gank the lane. But apart from that, it really doesn't matter too much. Because all you want to do is just be always there for your team if they want to pull any objective once you guys get a pick. Now, if you are better than your opponent, like this case where there is clearly a skill difference in mid lane, I would say it is pretty fine to try to get leads like I am. But most importantly, when you play these roles such as offlane, such as ADC, such as jungle, pay attention to your CS. You see me trade, you see me be active on the map, you see me roam, but most importantly, you see my CS. And if you're not getting close to 10 CS a minute, there's always room to improve. If you get 7, if you get 8 CS a minute, if you get 9 CS a minute is creep score, by the way, and that's just killing minions. You can see on the bottom left hand side, I'm at 1, 2, 3, which is basically 10 CS a minute, because it's about 10 a minute. We're at 12 minutes. Here I'm just pulling Prime, because I know that the Rampage ult is down, and even if he comes, I just have a lot of damage, even though I don't have the jungler, which is a pretty 50-50 fight, because the Rampage could be hovering here. So would I recommend doing this? Maybe not, but because I feel very comfortable that I'm very fed and I have Mega Cosm already, it's worth just pulling. And we also just get the mini Prime on myself because I really want it, because I deal a lot of damage over a Greystone who doesn't deal as much damage as me. I decided to take it as well. But this is basically early laning with Iggy. Just prioritize CSing, try to get 10 CS a minute. Getting 11, that's probably like the best you can get. Sometimes you can get 12 or 13, but that's really hard, and you're probably just taking some camps or some objectives if that is the case. So there's that as well. But yeah, this was an Iggy mid lane showcase where he is in a winning matchup, and now I want to show you guys a losing matchup, but not for Iggy. It's going to be for Morigesh. So let's quickly get a tab in, if I can find one, just to showcase the difference between me as a mid laner and also the Morigesh. Alright, here we go. We managed to pause it at 14:05. As you can see, 150 CS at 14 minutes. That is basically close to 11 CS a minute. But most importantly, you see the enemy mid laner, he's at 76. So we also made sure that he's sitting at a low CS per minute, either by just forcing him out of lane, forcing him to base when I want to shove in under tower, or just keeping the wave next to my tower. And whenever he comes in, you saw me when I tried to use my ultimate just to trade into him and force him to take a lot of damage. I just ran at him, just force him out of the lane, so he just doesn't CS, right? And that's what's important. Again, this was a more hobby kind of game, not so much as like this is the perfect way to play Iggy, because again, there was clearly a skill difference. But we will straight up go for our next game, which is going to be a Morigesh against Howie, which is a losing matchup, and let's talk about that one. Alright, so we are playing Morigesh now into the Howitzer, and this matchup is completely unplayable. The reason it's unplayable is he can harass you and constantly damage you with his long-range spells, and you cannot really do much. He can just ignore the wave and only auto-attack you only auto-attack the wave, sorry. Lucky for us, we play enough mid lane to where I know the range of his Q. I know also the Howitzer deck, where you can actually see the abilities when they are off cooldown. His rocket will like showcase on his right or on his left side of the model, so you can kind of see it if you pay a bit of attention. So there's a bit of tech there, but most importantly, we're trying to play at max range from the Howie. Here my guy just level 2s the mid laner. It's a little weird because in my opinion this is not really worth it, but I guess he kills him and dies for it. Actually, not really a good trade, because my mid laner gets a kill. So technically my mid laner is chilling with that one. I wouldn't say that is the best trade you can have. But at least I still have a semi-freeze here, and I'm going to get level 3 before the Howie. The Howie still has flash, so that's also something that he still has at his disposal. So although he did die, he still got some gold and some other things. I'm going to ward the left-hand side because I want to play for the left-hand side river and keep the freeze here. As you see, I'm not trying to shove. The reason I'm not trying to shove is my minions, the white minions, are dying to his minions. So at least, although I didn't really get much from that kill, from the Greystone kill, because the Greystone got the kill, so he got the gold. I only got an assist. At least I am keeping a nice little freeze that's going to be slowly pushing very soon. And now I'm going to push it so I can play for the left-hand side of the river. And we do get this as well, so now we're kind of chilling. And because I don't win this matchup, I actually decide to roam. The roam is pretty nice because they're actually really low, right? So here I can force quite a bit. Unfortunately, the crunch is here, but we honestly might just be able to kill the crunch. Forgot what exactly happens here. Yeah, just blink for the crunch. We managed to kill the crunch, so a little weird. And then there's a very weird fight here that happens that we just end up capitalizing on. Unfortunately, I don't think we killed the Narb. He does flash out, but as you can see, we're getting value elsewhere, not from our lane, because my lane is not a winning lane. Even though this guy died, it does not matter. He's still a Howitzer. Howitzer, in my opinion, is the best mid laner in the game right now. And Morigesh needs items. She needs to scale. So, also, don't judge the build. Again, I said it in the first video. Do not judge the build. I was completely trying to cook something out of nowhere in this game. I was, like, going HP Morigesh with, like, Tempest just to try to stay into the fight, see if it works. But the build is not what's important here. The crash choice can actually be important. And it's something that I already noted, right? But the build, I'm just completely saying if shit works. But it's, again, it's not something that I want you guys to, like, look at and be like, you know what? Yeah, this guy's building this. I'm gonna copy it, right? Because that's not it at all, right? So I just want to base here. My support does come to help, but honestly, it's not really worth it for me. I need to base. But at the same time, then I see, what's his name? The ADC come in, so... we just decided to stay and just go a little crazy, a little pub gamey. And this is what happens in mid. In mid, it's a fiesta. There's going to be people from the enemy team. There's going to be people from your team, and that's all there is. I see that my team is trying to tell me to get the river, but honestly, I don't care about the river. I just need to shove the wave. Understand your priorities, because if you don't shove this wave and make it go under tower, you're going to hate yourself here, because you have a small window to shove that wave in, try to deny XP and gold from your mid laners and reset the wave state. If you don't do that, he can start freezing on you. You have no flash. He doesn't have flash, but he's still in a winning matchup. He's also 2-2, and I'm only 1-0-2. So if you look at this, you might think, yeah, this guy is absolutely losing the matchup, but he's actually not. He's not losing the matchup still. He's completely fine. He might be a bit lower in XP than me, but it does not matter. He is in a winning matchup, and he is also getting kills. So you also have to understand, you have to press step, you have to see what the enemy mid laner is building. You have to understand if he's going stuff like combustion or soul binder, so you understand what his idea of how this matchup wants to go is going to be. Lucky for me here, because he has no flash, we're gonna manage to get a nice gank on him from the dual lane, which I tried to help earlier, so they kind of repay the favor, and kind of allows me to shove in this wave. After they take the Fang Tooth, they just throw mid. Now, the thing I want to highlight in this game compared to the other one is that I am trying to roam. I already roamed once, you're going to see me roam again and again. You see my team roaming as well, which is not important for us. It does not matter for us. We kind of just want to talk about what we're going to be doing, what we want to do, and that's all that matters to me. You also see me ward a specific camp that I mentioned earlier. I ward the 2 camp, so I know where the crunch is going to be when he does the 2. You can see the crunch is behind me, so I have a very limited time here to try to hit the dual lane. Again, I want to create value elsewhere on the game. I know that these guys also don't have blink on the Narb, so I focus the Narb, and we kill the Narb, which leaves the what's his name, the Drongo by himself. Also know that the crunch is on red side. I'm gonna get a quick base. I don't want to steal the XP. I don't want to share the XP with my dual lane because I want them to also get XP, and I also get my Orb of Growth, which I mentioned earlier, which is another stacking item. Now, you see me build Orb of Growth twice in both games. It is not something that you always build by any means. Again, this build is experimental. Usually just go straight up Mega Cosm Tainted Scepter on Morigesh. I'm just going a tanky version of it. Don't copy the build. I don't even know if it works. I just had fun trying it. That's all that is. This was going to be a YouTube video where I just try a tanky Morigesh build. The game ended up being short because we won it very early on. So instead of showcasing the build, I'm just going to showcase early laning, and that's all that matters. You see me not drop for rivers, although the river might be there. The reason I don't drop is because I know the crunch is left side. So there's no reason for me to drop. There's no reason to 50-50 a river when I still also don't have flash. My flash is on a 25-second cooldown, so we also don't want to flash. Something also important is to keep track of your crest. My crest is still a bit far away. You can see the crest down at the bottom right, which says Warlock Crest, restore 108 out of 200 health, and that's what matters. You can see me again roam again because these guys still have no what's it called? No no flashes, so we want to try to make sure that these guys do not quite enjoy to play the game. I do have flash, so I know I can kill this guy, and that's exactly what I do. And I just run back mid. Now you can see for my trades, 3 trades in offlane, all 3 successful. The issue with rotating this much is that my tower starts taking damage. Now, lucky for me, my decker realizes that this guy's trying to take tower, so he roams, right? Most players, most support players just don't realize it. And we don't really try to get something from the mid laner. Lucky for us, my team does realize it, so we get his ultimate, and we also probably kill him. So we get a lot of value, which is really, really nice. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get my mark, and I also am pretty close from getting my ultimate, so I was looking to base, buy some AP, and have enough for my ultimate. Unfortunately, the minion was stopping me, so I had to go for a river instead. Not really spend the 1300 worth of AP that I could have bought to deal more damage with my ultimate, to possibly kill the crunch before he bases. So unfortunately, my ultimate did not kill. But yeah, that was pretty close, and also very good on my team realizing it. I understand what you guys are gonna say. Your team's playing pretty well, and yes, they are playing well because I am in a higher tier bracket, and sometimes when you're starting out your game, you might not be in that higher tier bracket, right? And that is completely fair to assume because you're just not going to be surrounded by the same type of players who have played this game for a very long time. And that's the honest truth, right? I know that I'm playing with good players who understand the game a bit more, but that also means that my enemies also understand the game a bit more, right? So you guys have to keep paying attention to that. But let's quickly pause and showcase the stats. You can see I am nowhere close to 10 CS a minute. In fact, I am running pretty low, but I have a lot of kills to kind of showcase that. I have trio and 4. I'm trio and 4, and I've also gave a massive lead to my dual lane, being 4-0-1 and 1-0-3. The enemy mid laner does have more CS because he's been sitting in lane and farming, but he's 2-4. XP wise, I'm also keeping track with him even though I'm roaming, so that's also what's important here. If I skip over to, I don't know, like 5 more minutes in this game, I would have probably caught up with CS. I would have been close to 8.5, 9 CS a minute, and the reason I would be is because I would be paying more attention to my CS by that point, because I already got a lot of value from rotating. You see me rotating a lot through the early game, but now at this point it's time for you to also just try to get your XP, get more gold, and knowing that the enemy team isn't really worth much because they're 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, or 0-3 and stuff like that, you're not going to get value from roaming anymore because your team can already kill them without your roam now because they're ahead. So instead of just continuously roaming thinking, hey, I need more kills, I get more kills, I mental boom the enemy team, they FF, stuff like that, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Just focus on your lane at that point. You already got everything you need. Yes, the enemy team can start roaming, but if they start roaming, you can mirror the roam and try to help the team there. But don't try to over roam. It's still very important. But yeah, I thought these two games would kind of showcase the difference of being in a winning matchup and being in a losing matchup. One where you would play through the lane and one where you would play for roams. And I think these are two contrasting games which might be of value for you guys watching. And if you do like these kind of videos, let me know in the comment section down below. This was a Predecessor gameplay video / guide. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Predecessor gameplay video. Peace out, gamers, and have a good one.